A helicopter hovers over the jungle. Mud, smoke, and screams fill the air. And right there, in the middle of it all, a man raises his arms to the sky as bullets tear through him. That's not just a war scene. That's Oliver Stone's trauma turned into a masterpiece. Platoon's most haunting scene. War movies are everywhere. Some glorify the battlefield. Others turn it into a horrible nightmare. And a few try to do both at once. But Oliver Stone's Platoon sits in the middle ground. The 1986 Vietnam drama isn't about waving flags or celebrating glory. It's about the slow erasure of humanity. It's a movie that makes you laugh at absurd moments, recoil at cruelty, and then sit in silence as the line between heroes and villains gets blurred. The reason it hits so close to home is simple. Oliver wasn't just making a movie. He was reliving his past. He served in Vietnam as a young soldier, and Platoon became his way of remembering what war truly felt like. If you have seen Saving Private Ryan, or even Top Gun, you must have noticed they throw us into battle with heroic speeches or some rock star pilots, and that is far from the reality of war. Platoon, on the other hand, throws us into the jungle with a bunch of exhausted kids who look like they'd rather be anywhere else. Our entry point is Chris Taylor. He's a middle-class college dropout who volunteers for Vietnam, thinking it'll give his life meaning. Spoiler, it gives him trauma instead. Within days, he realizes war isn't about noble ideals. It's about sweating through your shirt, getting bug bites on every part of your body, carrying a mountain of gear, and trying not to pass out before someone starts shooting. And in the moment, the enemy isn't even the Viet Cong. It's exhaustion, heat, and the creeping realization that nobody really knows what they're doing out there. Now, here's where you might need some context. Vietnam wasn't like World War II, where soldiers came home for parades. This was a messy, unpopular war that most Americans didn't even want in the first place. By the mid-1960s, the US government was measuring success in body counts. Basically, how many people you could kill. That pressure came down to soldiers, who were told to produce results, even if it meant blurring the line between combatants and innocent civilians. And what happens when soldiers stop knowing who the enemy is? Atrocities, like the My Lai massacre. And maybe that's why the village scene in Platoon feels so disturbingly authentic. When Platoon, the movie, came out in the 80s, Hollywood hadn't really gone there yet. Sure, Apocalypse Now and The Deer Hunter explored Vietnam, but they did it with dreamlike surrealism or psychological detours. Platoon was different. It looked and felt like the realest view of the Vietnam War, with no glossy finish. Inside the Platoon are two men who shape everything: Sergeant Elias and Sergeant Barnes. They are basically moral opposites. Despite being in the most violent conditions, Elias still has compassion left. He smokes weed with the guys, jokes around, and tries to remind them that even in war, you don't have to lose your soul. On the other side is Barnes, a survivor who's already dead inside. His face is scarred, and his conscience is long gone. To him, walking out alive is the only goal. If that means killing civilians or terrorizing villagers, so be it. And stuck between the two worldviews is our young volunteer, Taylor. For him, Elias is the angel on one shoulder, and Barnes is the devil on the other. But this isn't a cartoon. It's a brutal reality. And through it all, one question remains the same. Which voice do you follow when morality feels like a luxury that could get you killed? Then comes the scene that quite literally flips the script. The platoon storms a village, looking for Viet Cong weapons, but it doesn't feel like a military operation. It feels like chaos. Soldiers burn huts, yell at civilians, and shove terrified families around. One soldier threatens a boy with a gun to make his father talk. Others smash food, kill livestock, and while doing it all, they keep laughing. More than shocking, it's exhausting to watch it. You can see the soldiers' humanity being replaced by anger, fear, and power. What adds to the weight of the scene is Oliver Stone's directing choice. At the crux of it, the camera shifts perspective. Suddenly, we are not just watching the Americans, we're seeing through the villagers' eyes. And from that angle, the heroes don't look heroic at all. they look like invaders. This moment is precisely why the Platoon film analysis hits so hard. Other than the soldier's POV, it makes us face the truth about the people stuck in the middle, the civilians who end up paying the price. And guess what? Even in all this chaos, Oliver found a way to add humor. The soldiers crack jokes, dance to Vietnam-era rock music, and pass around joints. It's actually really funny. Until you remember they're not laughing because things are fine. They're laughing because that's the only way to live through it. One of the film's weirdest strengths is this balance. 1 minute, you are laughing with the characters. The next, something goes wrong, and you are left wincing. It's like Oliver wants you to feel two emotions at once. Kind of like, see how ridiculous this is. Now watch it break apart, followed by an evil laughter. After the village raid comes the ultimate showdown between Elias and Barnes. Elias wants to stop the madness. Barnes wants to escalate it. Their clash is the heart of the movie, and it explodes in one of the most famous scenes in war movie history. Elias is ambushed and betrayed. Barnes shoots him, then tells the others that Elias was killed by the enemy. What follows is the film's iconic shoot. The presumably dead Elias stumbles through the jungle, with arms stretched toward the sky, riddled with bullets as helicopters fly overhead. It's slow motion and quite gruesome. That image became the poster for the movie. And it's not about one man dying. It's the symbolic execution of morality itself. With Elias gone and Barnes in charge, the whole vibe turns brutal. It's the climax of the story, and yeah, it hits like a truck. The final act is a mess of explosions, betrayals, and desperate fighting. Taylor survives, but he's not the same. He's alive, yes, but also broken, and unsure if the person who came to Vietnam even exists anymore. The books say that North Vietnam won, South Vietnam lost, and after years of fighting, the US troops withdrew without actually achieving anything. But here, nobody wins. The Vietnam War movie ending is hollow. The war chews people up, spits them out, and leaves them with nothing but despair. The soldiers did walk out alive, but the innocence that brought them to the jungle was long gone. When Platoon came out, it hit like a grenade. It won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Director for Oliver Stone. It was the first Hollywood Vietnam War film, made by a veteran of the war himself, which gave it weight and authenticity. And, for better or worse, it opened the door for more brutally honest Vietnam stories, like Full Metal Jacket and Born on the 4th of July. For American audiences, it was a wake-up call. It forced people to face the fact that the US soldiers didn't always come home as heroes. They came home broken, carrying stories nobody wanted to hear. And in a way, that's why it still matters. Swap out the setting, change the uniforms, and Platoon could be any war, anywhere. Because war doesn't end when the guns go quiet. It ends when the memories stop burning. And for some, they never do. That was it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive into Platoon. And while we're at it, which movies would you want us to dissect next? Let us know in the comments below. I'm on my journey to 1,000 subscribers, so it will mean a lot if you subscribe. And we'll catch you in the next one.